Alright guys, the moment has finally come. This is our final review for the Mission Impossible series. That's right guys, my collaboration with Chris Day, fellow YouTuber and movie reviewer, has come to an end. We have finally reviewed the final, or this is the final review in the Mission Impossible series, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. By the time this video goes up, is either coming out in 2 days or tomorrow. Not sure when I'm going to get this up, but definitely before Rogue Nation comes out. And this is it. This is the last one, guys. And here in this video, I am here to bring you, in this part of the video, I'm here to bring you my thoughts on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. That's right, guys. Mission Impossible 4. It's the best of the franchise, as most people say. I definitely had high expectations going into this movie for sure. But again, guys, Chris and I both want to thank you for your support and watching our series, and we appreciate it. And if something goes wrong by the time this video goes up and Chris isn't able to review the movie, then just my review will go up. So disregard half of the things I say if that's what happens. So Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released in 2011. 5 years after Mission Impossible 3, and taking the reins of the franchise, sitting in the director's chair for this movie, was Brad Bird. And as we all know, this is not Brad Bird's first film. It is, however, Brad Bird's first live action film, because as we all know, he directed films like The Iron Giant, and most notably for the Pixar, he directed The Incredibles and Ratatouille. And while Incredibles and Ratatouille are two great films, I can imagine the pressure that must have been on Brad Bird as he was getting ready to direct this movie. His first live-action movie, it's the fourth Mission Impossible movie. Mission Impossible 3 was a massive hit. Until I watched this movie, it was my favorite of the series. So, and I'm sure a lot of people felt that way as well. So I'm sure the pressure was on him. I mean, he's like, I gotta make another good Mission Impossible movie or else the series is just gonna go down. And that was his mission in his movie. You know, the characters have a mission in this movie. That was Brad Bird's mission. And I'll let you guys know towards the end of the video whether or not I thought it was a success or not. But anyway, guys, let's get into the synopsis behind Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. We have our new antagonist for this series, for this movie, and he goes by the name of Cobalt. He is a Russian terrorist who is hell-bent on using nuclear launch codes to send the world into nuclear World War III. Okay, he needs to obtain certain launch codes and use a satellite, and he means business, alright? He is going to launch these codes, and it's not going to be good. It is going to cause many problems. So it's up to Ethan Hunt and his new team, consisting of, we have new characters, a part of Ethan's team. We have, I can't remember all their names. I know Agent Carter, played by Paula Patton. There we go. We have Jeremy Renner playing Agent Brandt, and then everybody's favorite Benji, played by Simon Pegg. They're all teaming up together to take down this Russian terrorist Cobalt. However, they got a massive obstacle in their wake, because they were on a mission in the Kremlin, and this Russian terrorist blew it up and framed IMF in the process. So now the president has disavowed IMF and initiated what is known as Ghost Protocol, which basically cuts off their connections from the rest of their agents and the establishment in general. So now Tom Cruise and his team are on their own, and they got to take down this Cobalt guy before he unleashes all hell on the world. Now again, as I said in my Mission Impossible 3 thoughts, that movie had the highest stakes, and I went into that movie with a lot of high expectations because I heard a lot of people saying that the movies only got better as they went on. So that's why I ended up liking Mission Impossible 3. And I equally went into Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol with very high expectations as well. And although I was actually not a fan of like the first 20 minutes or so of this movie, I gotta say, guys, once everything gets going and once the action picks up and once we get introduced to the team for this movie, the movie doesn't let off. And I kid you not, this is the best Mission Impossible movie we have got so far. I know I said that in my Mission Impossible 3 review. I said Mission Impossible 3 was the last crusade of the series, while Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is that new last crusade, even though it's the fourth film in the series, but it's a hell of a lot better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Anyway, so yeah, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, it's not a surprise, okay? Everybody who is a fan of these movies, when they saw this movie in 2011, they lost their crap, okay? Because they were surprised at how good of a movie it turned out to be. And it is. This is a fantastically exciting and utterly tension-riddled installment in the Mission Impossible series. It's my favorite so far. It probably has the most action in the series, even though Mission Impossible 3 was up there with action. But by far, it has the best tension in the series for sure. It has the best team of the entire series so far. It has some of the most beautifully filmed sequences of the entire series. And that is why I'm going to give the edge to Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and say it's the best so far. It just blew me away. Okay, I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to like this movie. I'm going to probably give it, 9.5-ish. I'll give it that sort of grade. It'll be in that range. After watching the movie, guys, it might even be higher than that. That's how much I enjoyed Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Let's start off with one of the best things going for this movie, in my opinion, and it's got to be the team itself. Because in my opinion, out of all the Mission Impossible movies we've had, Mission Impossible 1, we didn't have a team. It was Ethan Hunt on his own, essentially, with Luther Stickle coming in the midpoint of the movie. Mission Impossible 2, we had a good team, but that movie had its weak moments. Mission Impossible 3 had a very good team that worked very well together. This movie has the best team, in my opinion, and it's mainly because all of these characters are so well developed. Jeremy Renner's character comes into the movie like 40 minutes in, and I got really worried at this point because I was like, what are they going to do with his character? Is he going to have any purpose in this movie? And nope, they tied him into the character of Ethan Hunt in a very intriguing and interesting way. And it really worked for me. Jeremy Renner was great in the movie. Paula Patton was really good in the movie. Her character was very fleshed out. And that's one of the best things I have to give this movie. Every single member of this team can contribute in some vital way. And every single one of these characters are very well fleshed out. Whether it's Benji, who provides most of the comic relief and had me laughing hysterically in this movie. There was one moment when him and Tom Cruise are in a hallway. That entire sequence, Benji killed it, okay? Simon Pegg is great in this movie. And do I even have to get into how good Tom Cruise is? It's Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. And although I felt that he gave his best performance in Mission Impossible 3, he's still so good in this movie. He's still the charming, confident Tom Cruise that we all know and love. The Ethan Hunt we've grown to know and love this entire series. And again, he worked so well with these actors. All of these actors had incredible chemistry with one another, which is another amazing thing I have to praise the movie. And each character was well developed and had a decent amount of backstory, in my opinion, and that's the best praise I have to give Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. The next thing that really worked for me in Ghost Protocol was the way the film was shot and directed by Brad Bird. Now keep in mind, Brad Bird has never directed a live-action movie before. Are you kidding me? What a directorial debut for a first-time live-action film director. Holy crap. I can't imagine Brad Bird had any help on this movie. Like, he must have had a lot of help. His ADs, they must have been there for him like 24/7 because every shot was so pristine looking, so perfectly crafted in my opinion. The action scenes were perfectly framed and composed. Just the cinematography, the lighting was incredible. The entire sequence on the Burj Khalifa, I'll get into that later. But that scene, and when Tom Cruise is scaling that damn building, guys, that scene was so beautifully shot. I love it. The selection of shots, the fact that they used cables to have Tom Cruise connected to that building, and they erased them in post. It just looked so authentic and kept all of us on the edge of our seats, including myself. But yeah, Brad Bird killed it in this movie, and I don't know what the hell happened with Tomorrowland. That looked good and was very well shot as well. That's Tomorrowland, his most recent film. But I think the script was what ruined it for that movie. But this movie is different from Tomorrowland because, yes, it's well directed, it's well shot. The action scenes are so perfectly choreographed. The filming locations where they shot are great. The props that they used are incredible. The tech that these characters have just blow my mind because the script worked as well. All these characters are well developed. The stakes are probably the highest because they're threatening the end of the world in this movie as a result of a nuclear war. How are the stakes not the highest? The stakes were high in that movie, in Mission Impossible 3, because that was Ethan trying to save and protect his wife. That's why the stakes were high for Ethan. In this movie, the stakes are high for everybody, and that's what really works. And I love the ending of the movie without spoiling anything. After the team has done what they need to do, and they're all sitting back, and they're all like, man, can you believe all these people had no idea what almost just happened? I love that. It's just perfect because it just shows that's what IFM is about. They save people, they do things to protect the world, and they aren't well known, they don't receive recognition, and I love the ending of this movie so much because of that. It was just perfect in my opinion. This is the perfect and the most entertaining Mission Impossible movie in my opinion. Again, like with Mission Impossible 3, the thrills do not slow down. This movie is so fastly paced. The editing works. The cuts are so perfect in the action sequences. They're consistent. They cut well together. Everything just worked for these action sequences in my opinion. Again, I cannot praise the technology that these characters use in this movie enough. It is so amazing. The glue gloves that Tom Cruise used to stick onto the Burj Khalifa building. Oh my god. The scene where when they're in the hallway. Whoa! That's so awesome. Even the final climax of the movie was exciting. I love where they stage all these scenes. The scene in the Burj Khalifa, the scene where Tom Cruise is chasing down Cobalt, who's played by Steven Nyqvist in this movie. And they're in the middle of the sandstorm. Oh my goodness, that's so exciting and gripping and just heart palpitating, okay? I could not help but just stare in wonder and awe as I was watching some of the scenes of this movie. My mouth was gaping. I was breathing heavy. That's how high the tension was. The score by Michael Giacchino was incredible. He did a great job with Brad Bird on The Incredibles and Ratatouille. He came back for this movie. It paid off. Yes, the theme is great when it's used in this movie, but the score itself was just kick-ass in this movie. And the best thing going for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is the best scene not only in this movie, but the best scene in the entire series in general. And that is the entire, and I mean the entire, Burj Khalifa sequence. Not just when Tom Cruise has to jump out the window and scale the building, and then he's got to get back down to his hotel room. I'm not just talking about that, because that is awesome. The way it was shot, the stunt work, the fact that Tom Cruise did that stunt himself, and that is what added to the tension and the heart palpitating moments. But that scene does not end after that, because then we have to have the exchange where we have Léa Seydoux come in the movie and they have to do the whole exchange where things are happening simultaneously, and then certain people discover the ruse that's going on and the tension that is just beating in that scene, and just the way they pull that moment off in the movie, it just doesn't end. It is the best scene in this entire series, and it is probably why I loved this movie as much as I did. It didn't slow down. It was so just on fire and in your face and so damn exciting to watch. And this is just the first Mission Impossible movie where I am tipping my hat to the filmmakers, because I can tell they did a damn good job staging this scene and putting everything together, whether it was set decoration or dealing with props or whatever. The actors, Tom Cruise doing his own stunts, Paula Patton and Léa Seydoux doing their own stunts in the fight scene. I cannot praise the Burj Khalifa sequence enough. It's one of the best scenes in an action movie, probably. I love that moment so damn much. And it's not the only reason why I love this movie. Brad Bird, the cast, the characters, everything really worked for me in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Guys, I was this close to going all the way with this movie. I really was. And then like an hour before I shot this review, I said to myself, I gotta hold this one thing accountable with the movie, and it's the villain. I think this is one thing the entire series has gotten wrong, in my opinion. I don't think they can give us a villain with a convincing backstory. And I don't think that's the case with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. We really did not see enough of Steven Nyqvist, but yes, he's threatening. Yes, he wants to blow up the world. We need more screen time with him. And that's the only flaw I had with this movie. Had he had maybe 2 scenes, and maybe he'd done something very lethal, I would have gone all the way. I almost went 10 out of 10 A+, but I am going to go one below it. 0.25 below that. I'm going 9.75 out of 10, or a grade of an A. Again, I was this close to that A+, but I just couldn't, because Philip Seymour Hoffman is still, in my opinion, the best villain of the series because he had the best performance. But Steven Nyqvist was great, but he doesn't come close to Philip Seymour Hoffman in terms of performance. Then again, both villains are weak because their backstories just didn't quite work for me. That being said, this is a highly fun and exciting, pulse-pounding, edge-of-your-seat espionage thriller. It's the best film in the series, in my opinion, and I definitely can't wait for Rogue Nation now, because some people are saying it's better, some aren't. I don't care. I'm pumped for it. I am a fan of the series. I loved Ghost Protocol. It's the best. It's one of the best movies of 2011. I really enjoyed it. Guys, those are my thoughts on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Whew, I can finally breathe, guys. We did it. Chris and I have done it. We have reviewed all of the Mission Impossible movies, and I want to thank you guys in advance so much for watching all of our Mission Impossible reviews. We hope you guys enjoyed them. Leave us your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you think of this entire series? What is your favorite Mission Impossible movie? How would you rank the Mission Impossible films? Let me know down below in the comments. If Chris isn't part of this video, unfortunately, then this is me signing out, guys. But again, from the both of us, we thank you so much for supporting us and watching this, our series of reviews. We really appreciate it, guys. Thank you again so much for watching, and stay tuned for our separate reviews of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. That's coming very, very shortly on our channel when the movie is released. So again, guys, from both myself, and Chris Day, we thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in our own separate videos. Thanks again for watching, guys.